In January, we did my annual 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance program where we looked at one thing you could do each day. Well, we're back with the Compliance Tip of the Day. This is the podcast where we bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. In the chaotic world of 2025 and beyond, compliance will become even more important, and you staying on top of your game will help your company move forward. Today, we consider the gap analysis and how it can be used in compliance. A gap analysis is a method of assessing the differences in performance between a business's internal controls to determine whether the business requirements are being met, and if not, what steps should be taken to make sure they are met successfully. It is a determination of the degree of conformance of your organization to the requirements of the COSO internal control standards. A gap analysis is mainly a document review or show me the evidence type activity. Evidence which usually will come in the form of a record or document. During a gap analysis, there is some auditing accomplished through key stakeholders providing the relevant evidence they may or may not have for each requirement set forth in the relevant internal control standards. Gap analyses are often conducted at the beginning of a journey of an organization seeking compliance to an internal control standards, or it can be used as a basis for internal control enhancement. Interestingly, this can lead to more or even less internal controls, as sometimes in the realm of internal controls, less is more. The primary reason why a gap analysis is conducted at the beginning of the development phase or after some development has occurred is because the organization wants to know where they stand meeting the relevant COSO internal control standards, and they want to know specifically what they need to do to close that gap. Companies need to understand where the gaps are in internal controls and how large those gaps might be and what you could do to close the holes in any gap that you might have. So there are some steps you can take for your gap analysis. Number one, accurately defining the future goals. If you're not clear about your organizational goals, your efforts will be in vain. You must identify exactly the goals of the business and changes needed to achieve those goals. 2, identifying the current scenario and associated issues. To reach the place you desire, you should first assess where you are in your internal controls regime. A failure to see the real reason behind poor compliance performance of your business unit may affect or will affect profit and growth in the long run. 3, devise an action plan. You should think of the how factor, which is in the form of a plan. How will you implement the action plan to close the gap that has been identified? The solution may include several steps like hiring more employees, procuring extra equipment, offering perks or incentives, etc. And then number 4, report. You'll want to report your findings to the appropriate data and analysis. To do so, you may wish to use the gap analysis report template. In your report, you will want to include things like a background of the company and analyses, problems with what has occurred, and even the reasons for undertaking this. Then you'll present your findings, showing strategic objectives, where you are. Finally, all of the analysis should be backed up by the data that you have governed. So what are today's 3 key takeaways? Number 1, be prepared to require evidence from key stakeholders. Number 2, use a multi-stage approach to a gap analysis. And number 3, to get where you want to be, you have to know where you are. It really all begins with a gap analysis, so if you have not performed a gap analysis of your internal controls against the FCPA, against the UK Bribery Act, or the OECD good practices, you should take an opportunity to do so. One of the things that I'm happy to do for you, the compliance profession, is if you have a question or a series of questions you would like some compliance tips on, I'm happy to take any requests that you might want, certainly anonymize them, and give you a quick tip. Either one quick tip or maybe a week's worth of quick tips. So if you have any tips you want about your compliance program, you can shoot me an email at tfox@tfoxlaw.com. This podcast was created and produced with the assistance of AI.